Welcome everybody to Rad Pod and Chill. I am wet because I have been running in the rain back to make it to this live stream from my farmer's market. We didn't expect to have rain, and it started to really come down, but it was so beautiful because there was a trumpet player playing Tom Petty's Free Fallin'. So as I'm running to get here, I've got the sounds of Free Fallin' from a lone trumpet player, and it was quite beautiful. And we lost David Crosby, so he used to retweet me, which I always thought was a badge of honor, and may as well just start there. We're losing too many people, but this is life, right?
Yeah, I don't like Tom Petty.
Yeah,
everything that starts ends.
Yeah, but we're still here, and I'm happy to see you guys. We have so much to talk about. I'm all excited because like I always tell you guys, every story leads to a story, and we're interviewing the type of people with the depth of knowledge where every story leads to like a dozen stories. So I'm up last night, researching like Serbian connections to the Kremlin, and thanks to, Wes Clark Jr., who was on the show for episode 56, and all kinds of fun stuff. He sure was right about, what's her face, What's the Trump of least resistance, the one that we rarely hear about? I feel like saying Brittany Trump.
Tiffany.
That was close. Brittany Tiffany. She sure was spending, her breaks in Serbia and Belgrade when nobody wants to be there. So that was very fascinating. And of course, I've been researching the Taipei Rebellion because that's another tip off from Wes. So, all kinds of cool stuff. And how about you guys?
I am loving the fact that Peter Thiel got his ass handed to him in the media today.
Yeah, I mean, he's the same guy.
He also got $1.8 billion handed to him, so don't.
I'll steal that from him later.
Well, again, I think we are definitely seeing a pattern of people who really feel like chaos agents and Kremlin operatives. And I'm not afraid to say it or ashamed to say it because I believe it. As we noted on last week, the whole Russia was excellent propaganda. Yes, yes, yes. Just read my rolling insurrection piece and everything that Jim's done in recent weeks. Oh, crap, I got to paint my nails. Anyway, I know. That's how crazy it was. But for sure, I feel like there are made men having to call in and cash in and do whatever they got to do to get some money on up in there. Because
let's review briefly what that was, which is Peter Thiel, who has been investing in crypto companies as well as just buying crypto for the last 8 years, with his hedge fund or whatever, was publicly touting Bitcoin as continuing to be the future while he was selling all his fucking Bitcoin behind the scenes.
I'm so shocked.
And he got called out for that. And guess what? He doesn't fucking care, and nobody cares about it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I care.
Peter Thiel has been doing this for decades and has somehow psyoped every single fucking journalist to skip over the fact that all of this stuff is set up for Peter Thiel to personally profit from suffering and death.
Well, I'm gonna guess that
one of these days we're gonna stop calling him a right-wing entrepreneur or whatever the fuck euphemisms you want to.
I call him a fascist terrorist.
Excuse me, I'm not done writing. You want to put on this fucking Nazi.
Well, I will say, you know, having
be careful, Hi-Fi. Now, when I'm in the middle, man, that's a dangerous.
Wait till he takes a.
I didn't know you were. I didn't know you were full on gymming. My
oh my God, we have a verb.
You were
This
too
is
busy.
awesome.
You were too busy rolling a joint or whatever you're doing.
Have you met him?
I'm rolling a joint. Leave me alone.
Have you met him? Hey, so I do want to say, you know, I actually just published a book where I reflected back. I'd written it 10 years ago and kind of just decided it was time, but it made me look back on corporate news. And I just want to say that I have a lot of friends in the news business, and whether they want to do something or not is not really what matters. What matters is who owns it. And so let's just take a look at Forbes, for example. Let's say you're a good reporter at Forbes. Do you think that Steve Forbes is going to let you do something like, you know, really a true in-depth thing, the kind of unmusked story that I did for Byline Supplement when he's on, you know, the CNP's roster? It's not going to happen. That's the reality. I listened to people earlier today, Jim, on your meeting, and I listened to people still so surprised about corporate media. Why would they do this? And why would they have Bobart on? And why would they? It's like, because they're leading us down the, you know, the path to authoritarianism if we let them. So.
Yeah, I don't get me started. I have had my own in past lives with people who would not write stories about certain billionaires who they knew all about. I made sure they knew all about them, and they wouldn't do anything with it.
Well, you know, I was writing about, or maybe I was telling Hi-Fi about it when you did the fireside chat with me the other night. I remember distinctly, it was 2006 when I would, you know, prior to 2006 in local corporate TV news as a, you know, investigative producer, you know, we could spot fraud. We could go after the fraudsters. We could, you know, get it on air. And right around 2006, I found out, you know, Best Buy had been ripping off their customers with the neg options scam, where if you went to checkout and they told you could get a free magazine subscription, and it turned out it wasn't free, and your credit card would get dinged, and it was like damn near impossible to get reimbursed. And this had been going on, and I had all these employees telling me about it and how they were pressured to sell these magazines, even though they knew that they were hurting the consumer. It took me like 8 months to get a story on that I used to be able just to get on whenever. So if there was a change that occurred prior to the mortgage meltdown that I think, I don't know how it ever recovered, if it did or not, because I don't care, because it's been a decade since I, you know, worked in that particular field.
It's all just Sinclair and shit now. They all just do this, they all just parrot the same bullshit.
Sinclair, Murdoch
comes up with, or whatever the fuck. Or
hey, I found a new video intro for when we're talking about billionaires. Want to see it? It's really great.
Oh, I'm scared.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Oh, Hi-Fi, you're getting so clever. You're so clever. So thanks to Ruth Ben-Ghiat, I was inspired to write a piece today called Fascists on the Run, because that was the line that she used when she was talking about the Bolsonaro kids trying to get citizenship in Italy. And I had a lot of fun with that today, because there is evidence. I really liked what the EU came up with. They had a vote, you know, to encourage a tribunal for Putin and Russia for war crimes and crimes against humanity. We'll see where that goes. But I'm very, very happy to hear things like that are happening beyond our show.
I mean, yeah, I'm not sure much is going to go on with Italy other than, well, Maloney's in there.
Well, they're going to change the green, white, and red flame to blue, white, and red, so it's more Russian. No, why is Russia still in the United Nations? How many children do they have to kill before the UN's like, get out?
Yeah, man.
I mean, that's not how that works.
No,
I mean,
I don't care.
Okay,
they need to do something.
Okay, Big Shot. Okay, it's still a country. You might. It's a terrible, horrible country run by a fucking genocidal dictator, but it's still a country. You know.
That's another thing. The rest of the world needs to stand up and they need to say, "Excuse me, Russia. If you don't knock off your BS, not only will you no longer be a country, but we're gonna pound you into the dirt."
Well, hi-fi. You have to understand.
I know they're already in the dirt.
No. They're a petro state. They're not only a mafia state, but a petro state. And who just profited off the charts? The oil gangsters. And what did we just discuss? It's our problem. We can't just keep pointing the finger at the oil industry. It's anybody who is demanding their product, which is most people. So until we have the guts like Greta Thunberg has to actually change how we live, you know, we're going to be having this conversation every time there's a war happening and, you know, major businesses and industries are profiteering.
Well, there's a bunch of very powerful people who sell rotten dinosaurs. And rotten dinosaurs.
Why are they powerful?
Because we demand it. It's our problem.
Who gave them power?
Because their grandpappy on the fucking plantation found the oil mine like whatever a million years ago.
What?
They found a gusher and yo pappy like turn that shit into Exxon or whatever. It's literally that simple. It sucks. But it's just these oligarch families who've been passing this oil money around. And, you know, like 40 years ago, they decided, oh, what we need to do is create a bunch of psyops to make people want the end of the world so they don't give a shit that the planet is blowing up. That's what all this doomsday bullshit, end times, you know, evangelism is about. It's about selling more dead fucking dinosaurs rotting in the ground because they don't want you to give a shit about your grandkids. They don't want any of that stuff. They want you to think Jesus is going to come down on the magic carpet and fucking pick you up and leave all the Jews and infidels behind. God. Fuck that shit.
But I'm a Fidel.
All I know is that the best thing you can do for the environment, because I did the environmental beat for a long time, and I was telling Hi-Fi yesterday, I worked for Al Jazeera America on an amazing show, science show, where we did a lot with climate change and climate justice. And the best thing y'all can do is work from home and stop demanding that product. Simple as that. Best thing you can do for the environment. Work from home, close to home. Don't demand that product.
Stop believing in magic, maybe.
How
about that? How about don't believe in fucking magical beings that think that, you know, that are going to come pick you up because you think some thoughts. That's not going to fucking happen. That's the thing that we collectively need to sort is stop. If you want to okay, first of all, you can have your magical thoughts. I'm not saying any people can't have magical thoughts. Just don't impose them on everybody else.
That's your personal thing. Like, I like my personal magical thoughts.
Magical as all you want. I've had magical thoughts. That's fine. But don't fucking put your magical thoughts on me. There is no guy coming down on carpet. Stop.
Speaking of people that you know, true, you know, speaking of people who Christians do not believe should be preaching in churches. And what I mean by that are all the thousands of people that signed petitions to make sure that Mike Flynn is not allowed to speak in their churches because they believe that he is, you know, selling something that is very dangerous. Speaking of that, has anybody asked Mike Flynn why the only people that he platforms and hangs out with are traitors? Should I say that again?
Well, because he's
without Jim coughing?
I'm sorry.
Can you guys mute when you smoke and you honk and you do all that?
I wasn't. It just came.
Are you Jim Cold, by the way?
Lighter. I'll be right back.
Oh my God, what a shit show. But no, I think it's interesting. Every time you talk about what he was on, what show he was on, or who he's platforming, it's like these are all people who are literally traitors to America. Why are those the only people he hangs out?
Who, Flynn? What?
Like,
because because it's hard for traitors to hang out with not traitors.
Okay.
Because traitors do traitor shit, and not traitors don't like that.
Yeah.
So that, which is the point, right?
Not traitors.
To create more traitors out of not traitors.
Speaking of creating traitors out of not traitors.
That.
Yes, that's what we're doing. That's why we're here. Believe it or not, it's not just to amuse people with all the fuckery. Jim, you did something today that was very powerful and very triggering for me, because you and Jack Bryan, Jack finding gold in the Wayback Machine, showed how people like my dad and other people of his generation were psyoped very early, much in the same way that Russia was doing it to its own people during the same period, that late 90s, early 2000s, mid-aughts, all these anonymous postings and whatever to cast shade on President Obama and Hillary Clinton and create the narratives that we are now fighting today. This has been one hell of a long game.
Well, so Jack found this archive of a Kremlin propaganda website called rumormillnews.com. Very innocuous sounding, but Jack said that it is like a perfectly preserved T-Rex of Kremlin propaganda from 1999 actually to today, like all the way to today, nonstop. Every fucking day.
So just Putin was voted in 99, became the leader in 2000. And that's exactly the same time when they started moving their people toward totalitarianism. And I don't think that is a coincidence.
No, absolutely not. So I mean, that's when Alex Jones and and then 9/11 and all that shit started going on, and it took off. But what's really interesting about it is the website hasn't really changed in 23 years. It's all just text.
Wow.
It's just text. So it's just like a pure feed of Kremlin propaganda all the way through for 23 fucking years. And that is amazing in and of itself. There's so much there. But within a couple of minutes, I went all the way back to 2001 and just dug around a little bit. And there was QAnon in 2001, and I shit you not, it shocked the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Here's what it is. It's cryptic, clue-like messages from the Q. And the Q is giving fantasy scenarios about Hillary Clinton getting arrested and getting charged with things.
Wow.
When she was a freshman senator, right?
God.
Like now when she's presidential candidate, it's literally, it was called, has Hillary heard from the Q? It was the head of it. And then 2 weeks later, they had the book of Q, and then this weird, like, kind of theosophical, set of cryptic clues and shit, like straight up all the things. And it was like two patriots and warriors of truth was who it was addressed to. I mean, all the elements of fucking QAnon were there, right?
Wow.
So, couple possibilities. Could be an amazing coincidence, right? That
Warriors of Truth sounds an awful lot like
had a perfect, like a perfect prototype of Q, right? Or something else. So fast forward to right when QAnon started, and I won't get into too technical details, but Rumor Mill News, this Kremlin website, which had the Q posts from 2001, was posting like this weird, totally unknown alt poster of QAnon stuff that was posting at the same time that Q was. And they were actually kind of going back and forth and feeding off of each other. And it's little known, but the first Q post is a quote post of another poster, like this one. And this Kremlin website, this weird rumor mill news that's been around for 20 fucking years, has a pointer to this specific poster that's doing QAnon on October 28th, 2017. Out of hundreds of thousands of fucking posts on 4chan, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, how do you find one post on 4chan?
Wow.
But the thing is, that's just one example from right when it started, right? If you go before it, if you go after it, it's all the people that has Megan on and FBI on and Jordan Sather and every single person that I have been looking into for the last 2.5 years, everything that they're doing perfectly laid out in chronological format in real time.
Man.
Right? They are focused on this particular op for years and years.
Wow. So that's why it was so.
And that is amazing.
That is amazing. That's amazing. Speaking of fossilized things and dinosaurs, that's like some, historic spelunking right there. But I will say
one other piece.
Oh yeah. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm gonna last piece. Sorry.
And no. I'm trying to retain
it. The last piece was that 3 weeks before Q started, Donald Trump had a press conference. I don't know if anybody remembers this.
Can we play that, by the way?
What's that?
Are we able to play that, by the way? No. Okay. All right.
Anyway, he shows up in the briefing room with a bunch of generals and shit behind him, and just like sort of smirks and says, this is the calm before the storm. And then he waited for a bit, and then he repeated the phrase very clearly the second time. This is the calm before the storm. And then he left.
Wow.
And that was it. And everyone was like, what the fuck was that, right?
Wow.
Well, whatever, it's Trump being Trump. But guess what? Every Kremlin propaganda website instantly, like within hours, were on that particular thing and started pushing the storm, pushing the calm before the storm, Rumor Mill News, and what does it mean, and Zero Hedge, and all of these fucking Kremlin propaganda websites were instantly on it, including Rumor Mill News, which, magically knew all about QAnon the day it started.
Okay. So all I wanted to say is that, how I've been looking back to see what was happening before 2016 and what was going on in 2012 and what was happening in 2010. And for me, it's like, it's so obvious when we talk about controlled opposition and how all the pieces were in place, because they'd already been building this for years. This has been something that had been in place for years, priming everybody with decades. So that's why it's not surprising at all that in 2016 there was already the various factions set up, and I wish
people that come up with other stories other than, well, actually it's just a fucking Kremlin and this.
It's not that hard.
This propaganda, this model, right? And I don't know who went and picked, whether they picked up on that website from somehow before, what the provenance is of this whole idea. It doesn't fucking matter, right? What matters is the Kremlin. The Kremlin is paying attention to these specific operations for a reason. It is a perfectly preserved clue about what the Kremlin wants people to propagandize.
They're checking on their investment, Jim. They want to make sure they're getting their rubles worth.
Well,
right, they're promoting it. They're promoting this is what we're investing in. Please promote it.
So I think it's just like so important because, again, when we talk about trying to break through the denial, I just want to ask all our viewers and friends, if they haven't had a chance yet, please watch the last 2 episodes, the one with Keir Giles and the one with Wes Clark Jr., because I think those 2 combined are kind of what you need to really believe in this war that we're in. And I will also throw in the piece that you guys helped me with, the rolling insurrection piece, which shows all the Putin provocations throughout the world. So people can actually finally just get past whatever it is that's holding them up to believe that, we are the target nation of, continual active measures. And somebody today was talking like it was in the past tense. It's like, no, none of this is in the past tense. This is ongoing.
They're still in the House. What?
I know.
How many people voted against? What? 146. They're still there.
It's easy to tell now. They're easier.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's getting easier for people to hear that. I guess that there's
Well,
Russians running around, but
what about family members still, and and neighbors?
They don't equate that with the Russians, right? That's the problem.
My concern are the really good and kind people who are getting these talking points in their churches. And I saw 2 things in the last 24 hours that were related to the Russian Orthodox Church. And one of the quotes, sound bites, was like straight fascist propaganda. And I don't know why that's okay to have on American television anywhere, and B, why it's okay to have it in our country. It's like we just keep on, once again, allowing all of our beautiful freedoms, which I treasure, to destroy us from the inside.
Look, there are people in the original Russian Orthodox Church that are just religious Orthodox Christians, right? Mm-hmm. But the Russian Orthodox Church is politically is fucking neo-fascist, period, right? Kirill is a straight fascist.
That's who I'm talking about.
Kirill's in Putin's ear, as much as Dugin is.
Okay.
Kirill is a trash fire. It doesn't mean that all Russian Orthodox Christians are fascists, but it leans very fascist. However, the Russian, the ROKOR, which is the Russian Orthodox Church outside of Russia, which mostly means in America, mostly, but has a big compound in America, is just a neo-Nazi fucking training camp.
The one in upper state New York. Yeah. Okay.
And it's where a whole bunch of these Catholic chuds go after they spend a couple of years on 8chan, getting themselves geared up.
All
they
right.
go to this fake seminary and turn into good little fascists.
All right. Well, let's let this. Yeah, somebody today was asking, can you please give us some good news? And it's like, I realize that every time we drop some good news, it helps kind of give people a bit of a recharge, because this dystopia is very, very, very difficult to deal with 24/7. So what do you have, Hi-Fi?
I have the fact that Adam Schiff today played a brilliant move. And the brilliant move he played was he proposed a constitutional amendment to overturn Citizens United.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That is so necessary. I just did a.
Here's why it's brilliant.
What?
Anyone who goes against it is admitting they prefer the corruption of the billionaires to an America that works for everyone.
Ah.
So keep that in mind, folks, and start spreading that talking point.
Connor is sending us a film. Oh, Connor just sent us an anagram. Can we somehow retrieve that? I love you, Sean Connor.
Maybe.
I
Let
love
me see
you,
if I can
Sean
figure it
Connor.
out.
See if you can figure it out. See if you can figure it out. Jim, do you have some good news? But on that note, please do, anybody who's part of my Betty Dangerous Substack, please do read the John Paulson's report that I wrote recently. I think I unlocked it so everybody could read it, because the quotes that he gave are exactly what we're talking about, which is like, it is time to stop allowing our freedoms to destroy us. That's where I got the line about it's as if Citizens United, which he wrote the dissenting opinion on, he wrote it's as if Tokyo Rose had as much say as the Allied commanders. That's what we're getting ourselves into, and that's what we got ourselves into.
We have a foreign asset on our oversight committee in the House. I mean, all right. Let me try this here real fast.
If you can, go look what Connor's up to. I just love it.
Let me see if I can share this. Sean, thank you for being out there, man.
We love you so. I'm gonna cry. I love him so
he's
much.
all right.
I love him so much.
Shoot, no, I can't. Dang it.
You'll figure it out. Just do your phone. Just do it on your phone. I could do it on my phone. You can just hold it right up to the camera.
I'm not gonna put it on my phone. Hold on a second.
Okay, well, you keep noodling around. Jim, you must have good news. I know you document the victories as well as the things we need to be focused on.
Trump
hold on. I figured it out. All right, so.
Oh, nice. Okay, Anthony DeVolder means envy on old hatred. Yes, Connor. Yes, thank you.
I could have sworn it was going to go to like Santos or something.
Oh my God, that was so great. Oh my God.
How many names does that guy have? How many IDs?
I think that, and okay, is that the one he sent us? Because he actually has another one for us, but I think I'll just say this one. This is so brilliant. So what does George Santos anagram out to? This is great.
Well, not Anthony DeVolder. I figured that out.
Strong gnat.
Strange goose. Well done, Connor. Woo! Shout out to the man. That is so solid. Strange goose. I actually thought it was the lizard. We haven't done that for a while.
I thought it was sociopathic felon, but I messed it up.
Chaos agent, Kremlin cutout, whatever.
Whatever.
So stop us.
Just another turd in the flood of
shite. Turn off the echo. I can hear it. There's two things that are on right now. Thank y'all. All right, so I got some more stuff to talk about, but please, I would rather hear from you guys right now. I'm just all excited about stuff that I'm working on. You go, Jim. You must have something good. Some good.
Good. I mean, I was going to say Donald Trump got fined $1 million just now that he doesn't have anyway, and nobody gives a fuck. But it's funny.
Actually, I had a great. I had what I thought was a very comical line that I wrote today that amused me when I wrote it in my Fascists on the Run piece, because our friend, one of our friends, posted a video of Trump standing between two flags, looking very like a guy between two flags. And I wrote, standing between flags with his face painted a garish hue of burnt sienna, Trump posted yet another video speaking Victimese. His performance stale, like a Vegas lounge act who's been demoted to the front lobby. I mean, part of that's just me trolling, but I thought it was hilarious because it's how he appeared. Like it's It's getting pretty stale.
That's pretty ouch there.
Well, I'm trying to
proud
troll
of
back.
you. Good
Thank
job.
you very much. And in my mind, and I know you guys will dispute this, but again, this is part of us having to work with what we have. In my mind, he must be aware, Special Counsel Jack Smith was with his experience at The Hague, prosecuting, Kosovo war crimes. That must be something that's on his mind. So all of Paul Manafort's clients became fascists on the run or met horrible endings. And in 2017, I did predict Trump would flee to Moscow, where the oligarchs would think he would still have some juice, as my friend Tracy Green said, in the old oligarch's home. Because people are like, why would Putin want him? They'll think he maybe still has some juice. But he took in Yanukovych, Snowden. He takes them all in. Why wouldn't he take Trump in? No dispute?
I got no dispute with any of that. You go.
Thanks, Jim.
Rant on, my sister.
That always means so much to me. That always means so much to me. Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in here. It's pretty funny, but it was all inspired by Ruth's brilliance. Always fascists on the run. Like, that's just hilarious. And then everybody was like, sounds like Riders on the Storm. Like you could do a remake to the Doors song, Riders on the Storm. And of course,
we don't need any more storm shit. Honestly.
Yes, I know. I realize that.
On the run.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Manafort is done.
I actually was writing a post that starts about the spring storm. It has nothing to do with any of this. It has to do with an Ingrid Bergman film I was watching. But it's interesting because the films from the 30s, like 1936, I was watching a Swedish film today. They foreshadowed this. They're seeing what's gathering around them, and they write it into their art. And what I'm going to be writing about is how art is a duty. So anybody out there who's a filmmaker, a poet, an author, whatever it is that you do, a painter, please, we need your art right now. We need it a lot because we are in obviously dangerous times. And, where books are banned, as Stephen King wrote yesterday, if they're banning a book, go buy it, find out what it is and go support it. And we really need our artists to carry us through. So that's.
Something was brought to my attention the other day. And I'm not going to give the argument air. But what I am going to say is I would like to remind everyone that there was a very awful, terrible, horrible fellow named Michael Aquino. And Michael Aquino wrote a book called Mind War.
Mm-hmm. And
then he wrote this book, From PSYOP to Mind War with Paul E. Valley,
mm-hmm.
right? And where do we find Paul? Why, over here, touting the endorsement of an unhinged look, man, the network is there. Stop trying to discredit. It's ridiculous at this point. Anyway.
Okay.
That was like a little hi-fi PSA of some sort,
So here, my turn. Hi-fi is attempting to troll back at
as he does.
I'm not trolling. What are you talking about?
A cult leader who wrote a blog post about Michael Aquino to try and make it seem like no big deal. Like Michael Aquino, it's like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, no, dude invented modern PSYOP. Fucking idiot.
And God forbid you look up Michael Aquino and the word Presidio.
Yeah, it's a horrible. He started the Temple of Set, which is
I don't want to know.
He helped start O&A and Adam Waffen and that whole fucking thing. So listen, we're not going to give those sorts of people air. But if you're out here defending satanic pedophiles, psyop, psychopath, satanic temple of Set, motherfucker, Michael Aquino, that's all that needs to be said. That's it. That's who you're defending. So go fuck yourself.
Well, all I know is that sure sounds like what we know as projection. Those types of narratives are what are projected onto, Democrats in order to paint them with that brush. So that's a bit creepy.
Absolutely. Well, it turns out, strangely enough, that, for example, the guy who ran the website that Q was on is a satanic pedophile. Weird. Who also happens to admire Michael Aquino. It's strange how
it's awful. Yeah, it's awful. I would like to not give them
what they all are.
Can we please move on to something that isn't so grotesque?
No, because I want to talk about more satanic pedophiles.
I do not. I want to talk about.
I'm over that, man.
I want to talk about.
That's like 4chan. That's why I love 4chan. Stop.
I want to talk about.
Heidi wants to talk about more blog posts, and
I want to talk about Wes Clark Jr. I want to talk about what we're here for. The episode 56 was it?
Episode 56 on the PSYOP front line.
Watch it if you haven't seen it. It's quite amazing. Wes is really, really brilliant. And he said some incredible things. But do we have any clips in case anybody hasn't seen it? Can we show like something from it?
Maybe. But you pulled that out of nowhere and I was messing with
the chat. Well, let's talk about highlights. Is there something interesting in the chat?
No, I was just writing fascists on the run to the tune of Riders on the Storm.
Okay. Like Jim said, no storm.
Lukashenko's mustache molds, I thought was a particularly.
That's pretty good. Oh my God. Is that what you're doing? You're actually writing this song?
Road.
Wow.
Lukashenko's mustache molds.
You have to get Manaforting in the wind somewhere.
Peter Thiel's getting old.
Manaforting in the wind.
Oh no, he was in the first line. He was in the first line. Manafort is done. Roger Stone's a bum.
The fascists on the run. Oh my gosh, you've been able to write lyrics and hold a cohesive conversation at the same time. That's pretty impressive.
What? It's not cohesive. Now I gotta look for a movie. Hold on. So let me.
So while you look for a movie, let's recap some of the highlights from Wes Clark Jr.'s interview. American
Serbia.
Is his podcast. Yes, Serbia is under the radar, but they have many operatives working on the behest of the Kremlin, working as handlers. Good to know. So when a Trump, goes there on vacation, there's probably a bit more to the story, because he even said even the poorest person in that area where she went probably wouldn't want a vacation there at that time of the year.
I mean, there's one little tidbit to throw in, which is, Jack Smith, not to get all Mueller time or whatever, but
go ahead.
Shooting Milosevic in The Hague before this shit. So
that's a great actual data point, actually, as you guys would say.
You want some good news?
That's some good news. That's a good data point.
I mean, it's not exactly good news, but at least the dude is going after the real shit.
Yes.
And Milosevic and that whole genocide is the real shit, and absolutely sanctioned by the Kremlin.
Yes, I don't think that microdoses of hopium is a bad thing. It's when you're selling it as your full-time gig that it's not cool. But I think, when there are moments of hopium, we should have it and we should share it.
The problem is, like you said, microdosing, when you have a bad trip on hopium, it's bad.
Yeah, you crash. You crash hard, bro. Hey, I got a clip of American PSYOP. I thought I might want to play.
Okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, you want to play that? Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let me scroll down to it. Where'd it go?
This is Wes Clark Jr. was the subject of our friend Jack A. Bryan and Marlene Emily's podcast.
When you're completely surrounded by everybody thinking the same thing, you think, okay, I'm just going to play along. Their end goal is something good, which is, dude, we have to do something about climate change.
Did this crew of people also speak to your wife?
Yeah, they all had come over to the house, and my wife was like, who the fuck are all these people suddenly all around us? But for me, it felt fun. It felt like I'm doing something good that's righteous and just. You know, if someone comes over and they tell you you're bound for a very special mission, you have a very powerful spirit inside of you, and you hear these things, and then later a different person brings up these same ideas to reinforce the belief in you. And I was like, give me more of that crazy. That crazy's good. They were all trying to push me in this really specific path of UFOs, Saint Germain, theosophy. So all these people start reaching out to me, and I mean from every nook and cranny of reality you can think of.
That was amazing. That's just amazing.
I mean, that's all the stuff that we've been talking about for a couple of years now.
Yeah, amazing.
And, you know, remember theosophy, all the IAM stuff that he's talking about in there is, you know, what Mike Flynn has been pushing in Christian churches, as well as through, you know, QAnon and all this cult shit, and NAR.
Yeah, I think it's very important. You know, I always say this, like there is always inches from me, like some historical nonfiction, some book of history, usually related to a country. And so he really has me looking at the Taipei Rebellion and what led up to it, because he was basically saying as a cautionary tale, high rents, a lot of equality, othering, all the things that we're experiencing at the moment. So I think it's very important to always engage in history. And that was one of the things we learned from Wes. And I also thought, you know, I know that when someone's coming to harm you, you want to punch back, you want to defend your integrity, you want to correct the you know, record, all that stuff. And what Russ really said, which was the advice that was given to him, block and move on, whether it's in online, whether it's in real life, toxic, abusive, whatever it is, just do not engage. And I think that is something that's important. You know, he was really hurt. He was really hurt.
There's also a cautionary tale insofar as that only works to a certain extent, right? You can't block and move on when they're in your house.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When they've mind fucked you and they're, you know, calling you on the phone and you've got, you know, so I think there are a lot of tales to come out of what Wes had to say, you know, and yes, you minimize your exposure to bad shit, to traumatic stuff, always. However, that's not like when somebody is being tormented, that's not what they want to hear. Because they've tried that shit in every conceivable way.
Right. I found the original tweet when I announced I was working with, you know, a congressional candidate to remove Dana Rohrabacher. And I just found the original thread and how the attacks and the fangs were sharpened already, like just immediately, where I got pounced on, and how they tried to use malinformation to make it look like I was not who I said I was, which again, I credit really Jack's film and Marley's film, Active Measures. That was Jack and Marley, right? Active Measures. Yeah. So I credit that film because there was a moment, I think it was Clint Watts. There was somebody in there who basically said, what this one of the ops will look like is they will take somebody who has some influence, you know, whether it's in media like I had or whatever it is, whether it's researchers, whatever it is, an influencer of some sort who has people who believe in them, and they will make it look like you are not a part of that community. And then the people who are in that community will no longer trust you. And then you're standing there alone with no defenses. And that's what was run on me in 2018.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, Jim, how funny.
Really? What are you talking about, Heidi?
Yeah, I know. So shit.
It's
Yeah,
called
right.
wedging, and it's fucking horrible.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna actually find the original
There
thing
is
that
no
Flynn said.
longer a group. Groups get infiltrated, groups get destroyed. I just want everyone to know I am marching in one direction, and that is to put the billionaires in prison who did this to my country and are trying to do this to the world. If you guys want to march along, cool. If not, go your own way.
Well, I will say that as our friend,
in your face to make sure you heard it.
I want you to hear that.
As our friend, Wes said, part of the issue with what you just said is that, we also have to realize what we can and can't do. And what we can do is this kick-ass show that we drop every week where we have the most brilliant people from around the world. And boy, do we have a good one coming up this week too. And just keep on doing what we can do, because I know that, for example, your news block, Hi-Fi, with your natural ability to curate the most relevant news to this war from around the world, your news always ends up pushing the media to have to address some of this stuff. They don't do it like we do it, but they actually are forced to have to cover some of it. And that's your sweet spot. Whether you can physically yourself put a billionaire in a cage, I don't think so. But
Heidi.
Oh, am I underestimating you?
I am the Lizard King.
Okay.
I can do anything.
Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Well,
that is dedicated specifically to David.
Yeah.
Yeah. Word.
I am the walrus.
Go for it. One thing I did want to say that I didn't say earlier, because I didn't want to interrupt Jim's first TED Talk, was that it's very important for you guys to go back and scroll through our archives on YouTube and find our first episode. And they're divided between the live stream and the regular episodes. And find our episode with Dave Troy talking about crypto. That was from a year and, I don't know, a few months ago. So not, going on a year and a half soon, but certainly at least a year and 2 or 3 months. Please watch that episode and see everything that we're talking about has come to fruition. I
wrote a very sarcastic tweet saying,
"Really?
Wait, you mean
No.
cryptocurrency is not completely on the up and up?"
Considering that was our very first show a year ago. Oh my God! Thanks for catching up, media dorks.
Hilarity ensues.
No, I said that shit in 2011.
Yeah.
And I could have made billions of dollars because I was wrong for 12 years, but eventually I was
right. Oh my gosh.
It's always been a chaos.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and retweet the original thread of me taking clips from Active Measures when Hillary's like, nobody paid attention. Hillary was saying all the same stuff we're saying right now. Here she is debating Donald Trump in 2016. You won't admit Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America. You encourage espionage against our people. You're willing to spout the Putin line, sign up for his wish list, break up NATO, do whatever he wants you to do. Hillary Clinton, 2016. Yeah, it's bananas.
There's a moment where she totally points at Flynn. She's like,
let's find that clip.
She's like, Flynn sat with Putin. Are you fucking kidding me? Or something like that. I mean, it was like,
yeah, she was amazing in that film when she talks about
she knew everything. Of course she knew. She fucking got it. She saw the infiltration on the left. She saw it on the right. She fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
She would have been, great, which is exactly why they went so far out of their way to, torpedo her.
So I have a question. and people in the chat are asking this, and I want to address it. Like, how do we promote ourselves? And one of the things I did when I was, when I built my community of V-Beards was I made stickers, and I passed them out, and it was a community. We only did one thing once a year.
Grew a beard.
Yeah, we took pictures with our beards. It was great. Anyway,
I'm picturing but
I'm thinking
Slovenian
stickers.
women. They took pictures of their beards. I'm picturing.
So here's a question for our audience.
He missed it completely.
I did, because I'm thinking. Sorry, I'm on this thing. If I sent people stickers, would they pass them out and put them on their cars and put them up?
Radpod, are you talking about? Radpod stickers? Yeah.
Radpod stickers.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah,
let's do it. Noise.
Oh, so we do want to apologize to our patrons because we heard from one of them that we have not posted anything on our Patreon directly since like July, because that was one of the things that we relied on Connor to do because he was doing everything at that time. Now we're, of course, sharing much of the burden. But we're here and we are going to get a Zoom together, and it's just a matter of all of us coordinating. We're dancing as fast as we can. But thank you to everybody who supports this show. That money that comes in is actually very helpful, so thank you. It means a lot, even if we don't communicate that. I'm communicating it right now. So I'm trying to find something that I'm going to find right now. I know I'm going to find it.
As a matter of fact, it helped me pay for some software that I use to produce our shows. So
keeps my cell phone on, it's
keeps the lights
helpful.
On.
Yeah, super helpful. Thank you.
Let's see. What other good things have we talked about lately?
I'm finding so many great quotes from Active Measures right now. Oh my God. It's just incredible.
Yeah. Why aren't people, has everyone watched Active Measures? You can watch it online for free.
I have found, to be honest with you, and no disrespect to our audience who's so much savvier than most, but I have found that people don't read indictments, they don't read reports, and they don't watch documentaries that are incredibly relevant to understanding this war. And because of that, and a lot of time people are working, they're busy. We're grateful they're even watching, spending an hour and a half with us. But it's so important, just like we learned from Volodymyr Demchenko. He does not get sucked into Russian disinformation because he reads books and always has. So he would be like, okay, he's reading this over here. And then on television, they're saying something that he could recognize as a total lie. If all you're doing is watching what's on television as you're going about your day, you might not have the kind of immunity that somebody who has watched all these documentaries, read all of the reports, and also reads books on how this stuff works. And I mean, maybe that's what I'm going to do. Maybe the next thing I'll do is mentioning good books to read, because there are certain books, Jason Stanley's, Ruth Ben-Ghiat's, Nancy McLean's. There's a handful. Keir Giles. There's a handful.
Craig Unger.
Yeah. I mean, all our guests. Read all the books from all our guests. David Pepper. Any of
Nancy
our guests.
McLean.
John Sweeney. Paul Mason. Paul Mason. Oh my God. We've had like all the greatest. Oh,
you know who we need? We haven't had Ann Nelson on the show. And if you're out there, come on our show, please.
Yeah.
Please.
So
I'll be well behaved, I promise.
Ann wrote Shadow Network. Yeah, I'll tell her that you'll be well behaved. You guys are always well behaved with the guests. It's just during the live stream.
It's during the live stream where you just get out of hand.
Yeah.
Jim, you look pensive. What do you think about, man?
Oh, it's time to go.
No, I'm just enjoying the show.
No, good.
I'm just watching the live stream. You're on the live stream. Come on.
It's fun. You guys do your thing. It's great.
Active Measures is good. People You May Know is really important. Disinformed. Ha 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 ha. Not going to tell you what that's all about.
Oh, Disinformed is really important. Yeah, we're going to talk more about that coming up here. Yeah, that's right. Dr. Charles
American Mindfuck.
So important. Yeah. Shout out. I feel like we're giving shout outs, Hesperia, Garden Grove. It's been great. It's like Disinformed, people you may know,
AK Rowdy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think it's time to go.
All right.
All right. Love you all. Keep up the good fight. I told you where I'm
forward-
marching. Let's keep marching.
Look forward to seeing, or look forward to you guys checking us out on our next show Monday. It's going to be popping. It's going to be popping.
I am so out of here.